Hi, everyone. We'll get started with our webinar here in a couple minutes. Thanks for joining. Welcome, everyone, to our webinar today. We are going to be talking about creating WennSoft service calls based on a contract, but without using tasking. And this is Cheryl Simmons, and I'll be the one talking today about one of our WS tools that we have out for the WennSoft product line. And I'll be honest, I'm going to talk about a couple others along the way as well, but we're going to focus in on the particular one called ContractScheduling that allows you to do WennSoft service calls without having that dependency on tasking. So let's kind of take a step back and talk about how this works today inside of WennSoft. So for those of you using WennSoft Signature, you'll go in and you'll set up your contract and you'll put your equipment on there. And along with that, you're setting up tasking. And that tasking is going to drive how your service calls are created based on that maintenance contract. And for some of you, I've heard the feedback, that's just very tedious to get all those tasks out there. Or I have my tasks on there, but I don't necessarily want it to drive the frequency for my service calls. Well, we have the tool for you. So let's jump in and talk about that. The tool I'm talking about is called ContractScheduling. And what this tool allows you to do is create service calls based on your contract, but you put in a different schedule that you want your service calls created, kind of like your billing schedule and revenue schedule. You're also creating a schedule for when you want service calls created. And so you can see here, there's a couple different windows inside of Signature that we're going to take a look at. We have one that creates a schedule. So January through December, you say what kind of service calls do you want created, and you can give them a specific description. And then you say, I want 1 call created for that month, 3 calls, 4 calls. Like if you're going to do something weekly, you could create 4 for that particular month. Or if you only go out every quarter, right? Choose the month of the quarter that you're going to go out, give it a particular call type. And then we are going to show you that we have a new generate service call screen. So the other one inside of Signature, right? You can still use if you have contracts that are based on tasking and you want to create service calls that way. Or based off of this new schedule, you can go into the service call create option, and we'll show you that new option here in a minute, where you can say, yep, these are the service calls that I want generated, and go ahead and click process. So you're going to see all of that actually come into play here as I jump into the product. And I know I'm the kind of person who always wants to go into the product and take a look at it. So let's do that right now. Let me get my Great Plains open. And yep, I see that Great Plains is showing now for everybody. So let's go ahead and open up Service Manager. And I'm using sample data today. So customer 203 comes up, and this particular customer, I have a couple contracts on. We are going to go ahead and use the lookup window here, and we're going to take a look at contract number 71, which is a residential contract. Pull that in, drill down into that contract. And we are set up, this one particular one I have set up on a calendar basis. And again, your billing schedule, revenue schedule would always be just like you would normally use that inside of the product, inside of Signature. But up under additional is where you're going to see contract schedule. So here we are saying for this particular contract, this is when I want my service calls to be generated and the type of service call that I want generated. All right, that's unique, where normally we would just be saying, yeah, I'm going to generate my MCC calls, right? Well, here you can say, sometimes I have inspections, I have major and minor maintenance calls that I need to do, annual service, whatever you might call your service calls to your customers. You can create them based on your call types that you have set up in your system. And once you choose your call type, then you can choose what description you want to be displayed on your service call as you generate that as well. So you see here, you would pick and choose your call type, service description, and then the number of calls each of the months that you want generated. So that looks pretty easy to do, all onto a service call to generate our service calls. So we're going to go ahead and save that. I also want to show that there's one other window that you can get to record this information as well. So this one was right off of the contract, but here if I go out into our menu system, back over here for service, you'll see with this product installed, we have two additional options: contract schedule setup, and then that service call create option. So if I go into contract schedule setup, it'll look like the window we were just in, because it is the same window. But if you come from it from this menu system here, you would have to fill in your options, where if you come off of the contract, we automatically put in the information here on top, so it's already filtered. But you can see, here we go, contract 71, just like we talked about in the other window. We also have another contract on this customer here, which is contract number 27. And again, I have that set up for quarterly as well, because you're going to see that as we get into the call create window that we're going to choose to generate for June, and that here we see that we had a semi-annual maintenance set up for the month of June as well for one service call. So let me go ahead and just save that, close up that window. So let's go into the window of, once you have all your setups done, then you can go into service call create. And this will look very similar to your regular maintenance creation service call window, but for here, this is only going to do it based on the ones that you have a schedule created for. So if it doesn't look back to any tasking or anything in the core product, it is only what you've set up using those additional windows as part of contract scheduling. So here I'm going to say 2027, and I'm going to go to the month of June, and I'm going to focus in on just customer 203, and I'm going to click redisplay. And there you're going to see we had mentioned earlier contract 27. That was the one that previously I had entered, and 71 was the one we were really looking at, right? That had all the different types of service calls on it. So here you see for the month of June, we have one scheduled for contract 27 and two service calls that need to be created for 71. And you might say, okay, why do I need two? Well, let's say that you're actually sending out two technicians to this particular major maintenance, right? It involves two people to be out there for the full day. You can send, create the two appointments automatically at once, or the two service calls, right, on there. Or again, it might be 2 different days that you need to go on and want 2 service calls collecting that data. All is your choice on how you want to handle that. So again, that was from the schedule, and we see that we haven't created any, because if we had already created this, those numbers would be stored here, a 1 and a 2, and then we would show a 0 as being created. Or what may have happened is on contract 71, you had set it up originally to only be 1 call that you needed to create, and you had did that process already and found out, nope, I need to create another one for the month of June. So you changed it to 2 on your schedule. Then we'd have 1 created and 1 to create. I'm showing here, but we're going to go ahead and say that we're going to create all of these. And if they're displayed down here and we click the create option, it's going to create everything in the number to create. So let's go ahead and do that. You'll see it's processing, and again, it takes seconds to do, and even if you had a lot of transaction or a lot of those contracts listed out there, again, it would take you seconds to get those to process. So let's take a look at what did it really do. So let's go into our Service Manager window again, and let's go ahead and let's set 71, that was our latest one, but let's also look at contract, let me clear that for you. Contract 23, 27, I should say. Let's pull that one up first. Here you can see that June 1st of 27, we have a contract that was created. I don't know if you remember back to the schedule, how it talks about that was a semi-annual maintenance call that we were going to be created for a description. You can see that listed here. So let's go ahead and pull up. Oh, I forgot to clear that field again. Let me do that so we can pull up our little lookup window. Let's pull up contract 71. And there we talked about for June, right, 2706, we have number 7 and number 8. So we can see that it generated 2 of those calls for us. And that's what we said that we wanted. And again, it's bringing in that description from that schedule window that we had said we wanted these types of calls created and we wanted this description in there. Very cool. Where again, it's not going off of the tasking, it's just purely going off of that schedule. And keep in mind, you could still have tasking on your equipment and have that pull through to your service call and to your mobile tech device, those type of things, and still be using your tasking portion. This is all about creating the call, not on that frequency schedule that's tied to your tasks. So lots of cool things that you can do from that perspective. And if you want to, talk more about this and see it more in action, we definitely can do a demo specific to you and talk about your scenarios that you need to support. But certainly reach out and let us know that you want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and flip back over to our slides. And I want to mention our promotion that's going on right now. Also, just a pause, if you have questions, you can type them into the question chat. I know I got Leah on here too that's watching for those. And if we don't have time to get to those today, we'll definitely get those answered to you, give you a call or answer those in an email. But our promotion that we're running right now in the month of February is a buy one, get one on all of our GP and WennSoft WS tools. If you want to take a look at any of them, there is a link on here, as well as come out to our site, iscorp.biz/WS tools. And you can see videos as well as documentation about all the different tools that we have for both GP and on the WennSoft side. And then if you wanted to talk more deeply about any of those, you can certainly reach out to our sales team, consulting team, support team at iscorp.biz, and we can help answer that, as well as myself. I'd love to help answer those for you. With this promotion that we got going on, though, I just have a couple more tools I just want to highlight for you because I love them and I think they can really drive efficiency in your business. And the first one is Select Cost Transfer. And this gives you the capability to transfer costs from one service call to another, or from a service call to a job. And you get to pick and choose which transactions you would want to transfer. So you can if somebody posted the labor to the wrong service call, easily transfer that from one service call to another. Or if you have a whole handful of somebody screwed up and actually created 2 service calls, and somebody posted to service call 1 and somebody posted to service call 2, and you just need to bring them together and transfer costs from service call 1 over to service call 2, we can do that. Transfer that data over. Or if you're using service calls to do some of those technician work, but it's really all that data belongs over to a job, we can pick and choose those and transfer them over, versus the functionality inside of WennSoft, which is kind of an all or nothing piece, where you have to transfer everything over to a job, and then that service call is closed. Where here you could just pick and choose a transaction that you wanted to send over. Second one, quick mail. If you want to electronically send through email your invoices and other attachments, because when we generate the invoice email, we can choose to add on additional attachments like a call summary report and send that with the email that has your invoice onto your customers. Again, this is the tool that you can do that with. And if you need to do this in service, in job cost, as well as if you want to do it from a batch perspective, where you've gone through and let's say on the maintenance side, you've created all your maintenance invoices for the month of March and you want to electronically send them out through email. What you can do is go into, we have a batch window that you can see everything that's created for the month of March. Pick and choose which ones you want to email, and with a processing button, click that and send them on their way. I mean, and we have customers that have 600 to 800 maintenance invoices they do a month, and this has saved them days and to make them so much more efficient. Where somebody had, manually before had to go create those invoices to a PDF, take and attach them to an email and get them sent off. Where here, as long as the email information is associated with that customer into their internet information page, it'll pick up on that email and just send the information out for them. So slick and keeps things rolling. And the last one I'll just mention today is location combiner and modifier. And this one's very powerful. It allows you to take two customer locations, and they could be on the same customer or they could be on a different customer, and bring them together. And so again, this could be that somebody accidentally set up multiple locations when really it should have just been one location, and you want to bring those service calls, equipment, everything that's associated with those customer locations together. This tool allows you to do that. Or if you decided that you really want to change your numbering or your location names that you had set up originally, with the modifier allows you to make those changes, and it'll roll down and update all the tables that are associated with WennSoft, making sure that they all are reset to the new ID and name that you have associated there. So again, very powerful. You don't have to have all service calls posted or any of those type of things. It will actually move the data that is needed to do that, and brings it together and keep that history for you. That's very important. Well, I greatly enjoyed that you jumped onto the webinar today and hung out with us while we talked about our contract scheduling tool. Again, if you have questions or just pure questions about WennSoft, need assistance, GP, we're here to help you as well. So I have consulting at support@iscorp.biz, as well as our sales at iscorp.biz. Email is listed there as well. Again, I appreciate all your time and attention. Thank you for attending our webinar today, and look forward to helping you in the future. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.